Thank you for being in committee this morning. I don't have anyone else signed up. Is there anyone I've missed?
Mr. Chairman, is the Secretary of State not going to?
He's not signed up.
Well, I'd like to visit with Secretary of State on this.
Mr. Secretary, would you yield? You were kind of hiding there, but somebody caught you. Your name, who you represent.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Senator Ruchti. Phil McGrain, Secretary of State for the great state of Idaho. And Senator Ruchti, I'll chat with you anytime.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Secretary, I guess I'm concerned that you've reviewed this legislation and it sounds like you're in favor of it or supportive of it or at least not against it. Can you clarify this for us?
Secretary McGrain.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Ruchti, I appreciate the question. And I'll say this is a complicated issue. I've had numerous conversations with Mr. Welp, which he alluded to, and I think some of you, I don't know about all of you, have seen a variety of versions of this legislation. So trying with various members of the Senate to work to find some resolution. I will say, so you've got a couple of things at play here. One is the current ballot initiative has drawn greater interest from churches than we've ever seen activity before. So historically, there's been limitations and just an aversion by churches to participate in the political speech space simply because of the tax code and the IRS restrictions. The IRS has recently issued guidance opening that space up. So you're seeing an interest greater in terms of churches related to their nonprofit status, as well as obviously the subject matter of the initiative. The other part is our non-business entity statute. That's what we're referencing here. It is overly broad. I will easily say that. If you look at the campaign finance bill that we're working with Senator Harris on, it completely rewrites and changes this, but it also does not include an exemption of this nature either. And that's because it being overbroad is different than the religious exemption piece. What the challenge is trying to provide guidance. If you read the current code section, it starts with the formation of a PAC as the alternative. In October, our office issued guidance that is posted on the Sunshine webpage for nonprofits on how to navigate by creating a PAC. That is still my recommendation for anybody in this space, including all those who've already testified. There is a clear path that will never force donors who shouldn't be disclosed to ever be in a position to have been disclosed. So I think there is already a path under our current laws, but I know, as you've heard from Mr. Welp and others, there's concerns related to that. One of the things I'll add, and I'll wind it up here just for question's sake, is there's a key distinction between free speech that's protected by the First Amendment. So all of us, including you, can go say anything and everything that you want, that you don't have to report it, whether to us, even as legislators, let alone as churches. So, for example, we specifically denote like preaching from the pulpit is completely unregulated. There is no protections, or there's no restrictions related to that. So including on the initiatives or candidates or anything else, it's when money is involved. So it's paid speech is specifically what the Sunshine Laws regulate. And the United States Supreme Court has held that reporting, so transparency, is lawful under the First Amendment when there's money involved, like that you can add disclosure requirements, which Idaho has done, or you've referenced the FEC. And so that's a lot of where this goes into. I think this is uncharted territory for religious organizations, but as some of you have already noted, we work in this space constantly. And so we're willing to assist anybody in terms of how to comply with the current laws or to have conversations about how we amend the laws moving forward.
Senator Ruchti, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Secretary. So you mentioned that the churches have expressed their concern with using a PAC. I haven't heard what their concern is, other than they just don't think their speech should be regulated generally, which then led to my questions about, are you saying you shouldn't be regulated at all? Which I never, anyway, got varying answers to that. But I guess my biggest concern for the Secretary of State's office is how do you oversee this? It's 10% of total receipts for the prior calendar year, which would suggest you need a mechanism by which you obtain the receipts from the entity, either prior to or, as they suggest, after the horse has left the barn. And then what do you do about it once they've violated? Where's the, where's the punitive aspect to the statute?
Secretary McGrain.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Ruchti, I think first, just your statement. Personally, I think formation of a PAC makes a lot of sense for lots of organizations in this space. I don't see it nearly as burdensome or as onerous as others may. I think others may have testified to seeing that. I mean, one, we have over 4,000 registered entities in the Sunshine System right now, so a lot of people, as you all among them, comply with these laws currently. That said, assuming this, and so trying to not make a wholesale change, which was some of the prior drafts of legislation, that 10% threshold, the way our office would approach it is the way we approach a lot of other things related to campaign finance laws right now. This goes to that dialogue. One, we don't have a very large staff, and honestly, I just left JFAC where they are cutting our office further. And so I would say it's raw for me at the moment, just be forewarned. But what happens is we will receive Sunshine complaints and we will investigate those. Usually we start doing our cursory look at any of the complaints to see if it's valid and it warrants us contacting the proposed violator. But then we would reach out. And I will say we have a very real instance of this happening right now in our office where there was money reported. There's questions about the source of the money that's been reported. We've contacted the entity. They've provided a response. We're working with the Attorney General's office to investigate. And basically, we dig in, and we do have, the law does support us accessing financial records to determine whether it's your campaign finance account or others. We do have the authority between our office and the Attorney General's office to investigate and look into these, or to subpoena records if necessary for disclosure to determine it. So there would be no reason for us to know, and we don't want to know when there is no violation proposed or any situation. But in the event there was a violation and it did look like the potential to be in excess of 10% in this case, then we would start at least the investigation process to make determinations on whether that was. That doesn't necessarily mean going through, I mean, it could mean going through individual donors, but more likely it's just asking to see the books of any of the organizations. I mean, in order to maintain their tax filing, they have to keep accurate records of their finances, independent of us ever seeing donor names, for example. So I think that wouldn't be nearly as onerous as maybe it's perceived.
Senator Burnt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Secretary. After reading this proposed bill, or this section that's being changed, it says the provisions of this section shall not apply to religious organization for any action taken to support or oppose any measure. So I want to key in on the word measure. Would a measure also include a recall election?
Secretary McGrain.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Burnt, no. And it's important to note, this goes to a question Senator Ruchti asked also, is measures are defined in 6601, and there are penalties later on in Chapter 66 too. So there's different provisions. If we look at it holistically, there's both penalties and definitions. And ballot measures would just be a citizens initiative or a referendum or constitutional amendment. That could include at the state level or the local level.
That's it.
Yeah.
You good? Don't have any other questions. Or maybe I do.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Senator
Mr.
Ruchti.
Chairman and Secretary, I'm looking at the definition of measure in 67-6602. The last line of that paragraph defining measure, subparagraph 11, says, a recall shall be deemed a measure upon approval of the recall petition as to form pursuant to section 34-1704 Idaho Code. So is a recall election a measure?
Secretary McGrain.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Ruchti, I will stand corrected. You are a good attorney, and I believe you reading it. I don't have it in front of me.
So we've just opened the door a little further, it seems.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think it's important from our office's position, because Senator Ruchti alluded to it earlier. I'm in a very strong position of I very, very, very much